I am. This talk is such a work in progress. It started just after my birthday. No, it actually started after my last seizures. Which leads me to telling the whole story of my seizure, because it's so large. It's such a large experience for me. But first, this is a work in progress. It's such a work in progress that it's basically a non sequitur. Those who see this video and this talk have no context for some things that I'm talking about at all. For instance, when I mention Twoman being, most people have no idea what I'm talking about. I always find it interesting that people never ask me questions, because I'm a wordsmith. I make up words all the time. When the sweetie and I first met and started becoming friends and partners, it was so confusing to her that I would use words that she never heard about. And I do. I make up words because some things just don't work. Human doesn't work for me. It may work for you, but it doesn't work for me. It's missing something. And of course, society up till this point is missing something. Everything's missing. You can have all your technology you want, but it's still missing something. And that missing something is going to have to be corrected eventually. So this work in progress is constantly in progress and constantly changing. So here I am, the shot is closer. Yesterday I did it, I didn't like it, it was too far away, so perhaps I like this better. This sweetie has started to participate with it, setting up the shot for me, because the little camera I was using is so poor. Looking back at the videos and looking back at how I hold my discourses makes me change certain things because of watching myself. And that is good. That is not for your sake, it is for my sake. I really love doing this, whether it is recorded well or not. It's the recording well, however, when I look at it, I enjoy it better myself. I like seeing myself close up enough so that I can see the wrinkles in my face and the oddness of my face. I'm getting used to it. Most of the time I don't see my face except in the mirror, and I'm making faces at myself. So I never really get a sense of myself in my face. Also, and I've mentioned this a few times, I like the slowness of my speaking, and I like speaking slowly. It's so relaxing to me to speak slowly and to express the deepest experiences and feelings I have. I expect I will cry again many times, and crying is best up close. I'm very open about my crying. So many of you may have been annoyed by these discourses at first and will no longer look at them. That doesn't necessarily concern me. I have a need to do them. And why do I have a need to do them? And that is the question. I'm a big fan of Hamlet, so I'm constantly reworking a lot of his quotes. The readiness is all is one of my favorite quotes. Readiness is all. It's all about presentness, being present. So I had my seizures about a month ago, let's say month and some odd days. And it wasn't as tumultuous to me as it usually can be. I didn't bite off my tongue. I didn't tear up my lips. I didn't strain any body part. The clenching and the contorting can cause me to have muscle strains and various aches after seizures. But it was fairly light in that regard, and that was interesting because sometimes when they're very heavy and the seizure is very tumultuous, and I've chewed half my tongue off or peed all over the place or done any number of uncontrollable behaviors, the ecstasy that comes after that is so large. So epic, I would say. After these, I think there were 2 seizures, I experienced an ecstasy of types. I mean, it was lovely at times. It was I love that state of being. I love being in that ecstatic state. It's a state in which I would love to die. Frankly, it's perfect. It's a perfect ecstatic moment. My music is full of resonance, full of heart, full of joy and sadness and tears, and so feeling so deep. My interactions with people are so deep as well. I am full of presaging. I am full of otherworldly vision. I am full of deja vu. the intricacies of society and its insanity is less bothersome to me. However, it is a temporary state. I cannot stay there forever, as we cannot stay there forever when we smoke a joint and we're high, or we have an LSD trip or an ayahuasca ceremony. We cannot stay there forever, and we have to return. That return from my ecstatic state, I call a crash. It perfectly describes what happens. Basically, I'm just like, wee, and then boom, it's over. Not so boom, it dissipates slowly, but it's over. And as I realize that it's over, reality has a more desolate feeling to it. And those activities that I had during that ecstatic time, and those activities and those creative enterprises that occupied my life for 70 years, all seem worthless, useless. Because where am I? Where am I? And that's what I do. I look around, where am I? I'm nowhere. So this last crash was particularly interesting from the point of view of its arc. It started off fairly easy. It was like, well, I'm not crashing that badly. This is all right. Well, yeah, I'm sad, but I'm not in ecstatic mode, but this is all right. And then one night I went to bed, and I don't remember the exact event that happened, but I had a lot of trouble with dealing with the consequences of this event. And I got into bed and I couldn't sleep because I was really riveted to this, just churning. And I started to churn and churn and churn. My anger and rage exploded from my being. The sweetie didn't know what to do because my rage was all encompassing. There was no succor, there was no shade, there was no hiding from it. And I started talking about it. And what I started talking about quite clearly and deeply was that, or those experiences I had at 2 years old. I say 2 years, and that's not really accurate because it's more like that time period from, let us say, when I was placed in a bassinet or a crib thing, and I no longer was in a cradling state. I could be in some sort of device to hold me, till my 8-year-old egoistic explosion, which we all have. During that time, I experienced how much the world hated my family. And because they hated my family, and both black and white people, I do not hold anyone more responsible than any others, both of them, both black and white people and all people in between. Would, on occasion, curse at us from moving cars, throw things at us from whatever, sneer at us as we walked through the world. Even now, I can feel how hurtful that was, that. And here I want to use the word you because it's apropos. But I need to clarify what you is before I continue with this. Because you is, I like using you. I like speaking to you and talking to you. But who is you? You are the haters, the racists, the warmongers, the greedy beings. But sometimes you are less. Villainous than that. So the you kind of fluctuates. It moves and changes according to my topic. Here, you is all of you who threw things at my family, all of you who cursed us out, all of you who treated us badly when we would come into your businesses, all of you who expressed violent intent to us when we passed, all of you who on television shows spoke of why you so hated us. The problem with your hatred and behavior was that at such a young age, before I came into my egoistic explosion at 8 years old, I did not know the difference between me and you and them, and so it was just everything was me. It was not my family. It was not anything having to do without anything other than me. That had two and many effects. One, I became conscious too early. I became conscious that there were beings who were cursing me out, who were hating me. The second one I've forgotten already. This awareness, this way too early awareness, caused me to wonder what was wrong with me. What is wrong with me? Many of you have much to say about that. Some of you have written blogs insulting me immensely. Some of you have castigated me in places. Some of you have spoken of my color as being strange. It's not white. It's not black. It's not dark brown. So for me, I couldn't, and it was impossible to understand what was going on. So I could only take it upon myself. Being conscious too early, taking upon myself all of this hatred, racism. And once I had my awareness that the world was not just me at 8 years old, which we all have, it became especially difficult. Because I still was aware that there was something wrong with me, but I was also aware that there was this world. And how do I deal with that? My way was to hate myself immensely. It was to separate myself, to be envious of those who were not hated, and I felt this deeply. Over the years, as I grew from 8 till I could say my attempted suicide at 7, I think at 27, I can say that I experienced a lot of complexity in how to live. Because living was confusing to me. It just didn't make any sense. I had lovely beings who would come into my life who helped me with this. I had horrific beings in my life who continued the behavior that caused me to hate myself. But I can say that once I was able to start self-inquiring, which the attempted suicide helped me, inquiring into what am I doing here then? If I am such this monster that people hate me so much, what am I doing here? So I came back from that attempted suicide with an awareness that my work was not done. Either I had a near-death experience. Your work is not finished. You have more to do in this world. And so with that in hand, I systematically learned how to love myself. And it was not easy. Even now, to deal with some of your misbehavior and prejudice and racism and garbage behavior, it's difficult for me. I'll take some tea. I spoke of my tea yesterday, and as I said, I love it. It's so nice. So spicy and soothing. And when I talk about this, I need soothing. So, in my crash, I really came in touch with this. It's almost like I went back to 2 years old, that 2 years old time, and felt all of the pain and the rage I felt that people hated me, that they cursed me out, that they hated me so much. So I started yelling and screaming at the top of my lungs with the sweetie watching on, I hate this world, I hate this world. I hate this world. Screaming at the top of my lungs. It was the first time since my childhood that I ever so fully raged about this. It was a cleansing, a healing experience for me to really express this. That to, in spite of how much and how badly this world has treated me, I have turned out to be this giving and kind being whose kindnesses, frankly, have destroyed much of my opportunities in let's call success. Let's say my kindness has always gotten in the way of success in my life. Because of course, how can a kind being be successful in this world? Everything is about backbiting, hurting others, and stepping on other people's heads in order to get atop. And one of those ways is by denigrating them. So that rejection that I felt, that rage that I felt about rejection, that experience of, and really coming into the feelings of what that was, in a sense, I let them go. I really opened up to the feelings that I had and exploded them out of my being. It was an intense crash, intense. And when I described this to one of my dearest friends, she, and most of my dearest friends are female, she said, now you've put words to it. Such a lovely statement about what happened. I did. I finally expressed my rage. Finally. I can say that my rage could be recognized in my performance at times. It is that rage that I know people are scared of when they watch me perform, because I can go so large and explosively. But to speak of it, that was new. Then came my 70th birthday a week ago or something like that. And I was finally having these urges to speak on camera, not for you, but for me, to really speak about all the things that go on in my brain. And I cannot tell you how much goes on in my brain.